everyone, welcome back to Listrak's official podcast, Innovation Unleashed, episode 8. We have some new swag in the podcast studio. We got a hat from Hat Club. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out Jason's last podcast with Mike and I, please do so. It was a really good episode. And then we also have a leotard from GK Elite, kind of promoting the Summer Olympics. So thank you to both of those clients. We got some new cool swag and building out our podcast studio. So today I am joined by Vince Riggio. He is the Director of Partnerships at Extole. Welcome, Vince.
Great to be here, Leah. Thanks for having me.
You've been on the road for 2 weeks.
I have. This is my last stop, but saving the best for last. I'm excited to be here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, and then would love to learn a little bit more about Extole, the customers you serve, what you guys have been doing, and kind of what Extole is all about.
Absolutely. So I've been in the referral, customer engagement, loyalty space for just under 14 years. Started my career at a company called Social Annex, which is rebranded to Annex Cloud.
Yes, yep, familiar.
Handful of years ago or so. Really started getting involved with loyalty at that company on the sales side of the house. Really fell in love with solving customers' complex problems when it comes to lifetime values and customer acquisition. I would hear rumblings about this best-in-class platform called Extole that was actually up in my hometown in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Things happened, moved back up north in California to the Bay Area. Joined Extole about 8 years ago.
It's been 8 years already.
It's been 8 years. Time flies.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Did sales, then transitioned to running the retail sales team at Extole for a handful of years, and recently made the transition into the partnership side of the house, which hence...
We're excited to have you on this side of the house.
It's a great side to be on. I'm super excited for it.
Vince, what is Extole's mission, and how are you guys really kind of, catering and serving to customers and brands?
Yeah, so we primarily work with retailers. We have about a third of our clients that are fintech companies like the Acorns and Greenlights of the world. We have some banks and financial institutions that are using our programs to drive member engagement. We work pretty heavily with telecoms and consumer service companies. Gaming has been pretty hot lately.
Sure.
So mobile app referral programs, I'm sure you've seen them.
Yep.
The Uber style programs where you open the app and there's an advocate code that you can share and earn points and rewards and whatnot.
Yeah.
But primarily retail, that's kind of what we hang our hat on. Our mission is to basically provide consumer marketers easy and effective ways to grow their customer acquisition, to grow their customer base, and also get as much lifetime value from them and give them unique ways to engage with the brands that they love. So we do so through the most popular nomenclature is refer a friend, but we have rewards programs, offer programs, drop a hint, which is one of my personal favorites, which
Me too.
lives on the product detail page, and you can share it with your husband or your wife, and they can buy it for you. But all different types of methods to engage consumers at scale and give the marketers, the people that are marketing for these brands, ways to lower their costs to acquire customers.
Yeah, I think that's a really big topic in terms of acquisition and cost of acquisition right now. So how does loyalty tie into that? How do you kind of drive that cost down? How do you leverage the customers that were acquired and then really entering them into loyalty programs?
Yeah, so with the rise of costs with Meta, Alphabet, all the traditional marketing channels, if you would, traditional digital marketing channels, it's becoming and has become over the past couple of years cost prohibitive to just keep throwing money at the big tech and hope that you're going to acquire customers at scale at the rate that you did 5-10 years ago. So what we do is we basically can fix the CPA or fix the rewards that we're distributing to the end user, to the consumer, and scale the program through targeting and through segmentation and different methods to ensure that as that CPA drops, you're still getting as much as you possibly can at scale out of the consumer, the end user, if you will.
I think it's important. It's really kind of connecting that full life cycle of the shopper and making sure that retailers are able to capture. And then, of course, they're spending so much. How do we keep these people coming back?
Yeah, and it's the traditional, points programs are interesting. Points loyalty programs are interesting. What we found over the past decade of running these programs is they normally only work with credit cards and airline miles, right? And your traditional quick serve restaurant like a Starbucks, where you're getting stars for your coffee buying.
Very familiar.
Me too.
Too familiar, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, right? But there's other ways that reach the same end goal, and that's really where we strive to achieve the results. Is we basically will try to drive up the LTV. The end goal is the LTV, right? Get consumers to purchase more and get a value out of a customer to grow your business as a brand. But points programs don't necessarily reach that goal because most 95% of them, of the consumers that are part of these brands, don't care about their points at a small to medium-sized t-shirt retailer that might sell some hats or might sell. So there's other effective ways like referring friends, dropping hints, possibly writing 5-star reviews, trying to get as much out of the consumer beyond just asking them to buy and buy often. So that's kind of our strength. What our platform does is gives the marketers ways to engage their consumers.
Some options.
Yeah.
I heard somebody, I think I was listening to a webinar the other day, and they were like, I hate when, people talk about loyalties just as points. And maybe that's how it used to be viewed, back in a couple of years ago, or perhaps how some brands might start. But what would you suggest for brands out there to how to level up their loyalty program?
So there's a couple different strategic ways that you can level up your loyalty and referral programs. The first one is to launch it, right? Get it out into market so you can start testing and optimizing. So
it's now level 100 in a tech stack. I mean, you have to have loyalty.
Exactly. So you can pick a segment. You don't have to promote it to every single one of your consumers out of the gates. You can pick a segment, pick a 10%, 20% cohort and promote the program. So that's step one. Get it in front of them. It doesn't take months and months and months to get to statistical significance where you can't make determinations on how to react. It can be done quickly in 4 to 6 weeks, let's say.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So step one, promote the program. Get your customers to engage. Step two is to basically hyper-personalize it. So take your CDP data, take your first party, your zero party data from Listrak and promote different experiences. Tailor the experience to the individuals that are engaged.
Yeah.
Right? And then step three is to basically fine-tune the rewarding. So we try to not be a coupon cannon where we just send out a bunch of promo codes because it cuts into margins for the retailer.
Don't know the effectiveness of it if you're not split testing it.
Exactly. And some people are just trying to get their coupon and check out. Like we want high quality as much as we want high volume. So there's multiple rewarding options that we found being very effective. VIP or exclusivity offers, very important, very successful. Gift cards, even if it's not an internal gift card to the brand, but a gift card that might be an Amazon voucher or a Visa or a MasterCard. The sentiment around receiving an external reward like that to the consumer, we have found, is still extremely effective, and it brings loyalty to the brand that is distributing it, even though it's not to the brand itself.
Sure.
And then things like maybe you want to do charitable donations.
I feel like that's become pretty popular as well.
It has been, yeah. So there's other methods. So that's step three, is to basically fine-tune the rewarding structure.
And base it off of, your brand specifically.
Of course.
How do you want to handle those discounts? Are you more of a social kind of like let's give back sort of brand? It can be very customizable, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if you're a high value brand, or you position yourself as premier, you may not want to give coupon codes.
Yep.
You may want to give free tailoring if you're an apparel retailer,
Yeah.
or free shipping, which is pretty standard these days,
Pretty
but
standard.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Some sort of VIP experience. Maybe you want to offer them first look into the spring fashion line.
Oh, I love that idea.
Just different ways beyond points,
Yeah.
right? So we try to steer away from the points discussion. Bronze, silver, gold only goes so far, and there's only brands like Sephora and Starbucks that can do it very effectively. For most, it's about these types of experiences that are beyond just the points.
Yeah, I think you touched on a couple of things that I want to get back to. One being the personalization piece. Obviously, you're building it off of your brand and what makes the most sense for that brand to build into a loyalty program, but talking to them based off of their behavior, right? And that falls into using that data in other channels like email, like SMS, being able to tailor that conversation based off their behavior. So are they a VIP customer? Are they, somebody that's referred a friend multiple times? And how are we going to leverage that personalization piece within some of those, omni-channel conversations?
Yeah, it's all about engaging your consumer when and where they want to be engaged with.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a pop-up on the website, very simple email capture or SMS capture that gets that first-party data, passes it to your system, and you can target and tailor off that. Sometimes it's a mobile app where there's implied or ubiquitous participation. So basically, like when somebody opens their mobile app, is there an experience that's just waiting there for them?
Yeah.
Like Uber. I go back to the Uber example. But when you open the Uber app, there's an advocate code and a code that you can share with your friends. It's just presuming that people are going to engage.
Sure.
And making it as seamless as possible. The other piece is to use the data that you have to make the experience as effective as possible. So if you know that Leah spends $1,500 and she lives in Pennsylvania and she's a certain demographic, you're not going to want to treat her the same as Vince, who's in California, who just signed up for email and hasn't joined loyalty or hasn't referred a friend yet. Maybe he hasn't even received his package. Like, you need to tailor these experiences to those cohorts of people.
Sure.
So personalized loyalty is how I think about it. It's a serving, and it's not just groups of people, it's to the individual level. And that comes from first-party, zero-party data, implicit experiences, and serving content to the individuals when and where they want to be served to.
Yeah. I think, too, it's like you said, it's not just the to who. I think it's also at the right time. So, they're having these individualized experiences on site as well. And if they're anonymous traffic, being able to identify that they are a top subscriber, and when you send that triggered email, they're obviously going to have a different experience. So I think there's multitude of different ways to include that personalization.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the name of the game going forward. You asked a question earlier about where do I see it in 2 to 5 years. I think it really has to do with personalized loyalty. Now, that can be through the context of referrals, friends and family, influencer programs, loyalty and rewards. Like, there's different channels that you should test and try out to make sure that it is the most effective for your brand, because every brand's going to be a little different. But going forward, it is absolutely going to be more about personalization and serving them content when and where they want to be served to.
Yeah. Maybe selfish question, but just curious as I was thinking about it, how do you guys use split testing in loyalty programs?
There's no short answer to that other than anywhere that the brand wants to split test.
Test something.
The most common is the placement of the program.
Okay.
So where they're served, the calls to action, essentially. Is it on the homepage? Is it in the header? Is it post-purchase?
Sure.
Wherever. The next most common is the rewarding. So what is going to move the needle in regards to the rewards that these consumers are receiving? Is it points, dollars? Is it gift cards, promo codes, whatever it may be? But anything, you can get down to the details of this color versus that color, or this creative imagery versus that creative imagery.
Yeah.
So we have brands, hundreds of brands in our portfolio. At any given time, they're testing different variables and different experiences. One of the main things that we split test beyond what I just mentioned is the actual experience itself, the consumer experience, the end-to-end journey, if you will. What triggers the reward? Is it doing subsequent activities? So opening an account and then making a purchase, like A and B, if you will. Or is it just making a purchase? Or is it writing a review and then making a purchase?
Right.
So
Is it a multitude of different steps throughout the journey?
Exactly. So that's just as important as the rewards and the promotion of the program as well.
Yeah. I have seen, especially in the beauty industry, I think sweepstakes becoming more and more popular. What are some of your thoughts on sweepstakes? What is Extole's take on sweepstakes?
So it's good at collecting first-party data. You have a highly engaged audience. It's good at volume, getting a bunch of volume into the funnel so that you can promote to them. What we found is that we need to offer something that's enticing and also tack a sharing or referral experience on top of the sweepstakes.
Okay.
So enter your email, enter your phone number to win something, and then go with the virality side of the equation and try to get them to post it on social media or text message their buddies and share that kind of a referral element on top of sweepstakes.
Okay.
Those are the sweeps that we found most effective. They're kind of making a comeback over the past couple years. They not went away, but it wasn't as popular 5 years ago as it is in the past couple years.
I have seen it. I think a lot of, even our customers will ask my team, do you have any recommendations for sweepstakes? And there's so many great brands out there. Obviously, you want to kind of help promote them as well as getting your name out there.
Absolutely. We have some clients that do, like Reebok as an example, does cross-brand promotion with one of their partners. So they have these Theraguns, I think they're called, the massaging guns.
Yeah.
So they were rewarding for a Reebok contest. They were rewarding with one of their partners, which is Theragun, and giving away Theraguns, and it was extremely effective.
What a good idea.
Yeah, kind of nice, right?
It's kind of nice.
And they also did influencer on top of it.
Okay.
So they were promoting with professional athletes. So you enter the Reebok contest, and then a professional athlete will send you a jersey or some sort of swag that you can wear that you'll like.
Cool.
So kind of just taking it a step further than just, hey, enter your email and win $100.
Sure.
Something a little more sophisticated and effective.
Yeah. You mentioned influencer marketing, which has blown up in the last couple of years. What are you guys doing or helping to promote with your brands when it comes to influencer marketing? How does that tie into loyalty?
Yeah, so it ties in the sense that you can identify who your highest LTV customers are and use those people and their social media presence to promote your brand. Extole mostly plays not in the typical influencer space where like the Kim Kardashians of the world or whoever.
No shade to Kim K.
Yeah, but the more nano and micro influencers. So people that are enthusiastic about your brand and maybe they've referred a couple times. We can put delineation on it. So after you refer X amount of times, we know that you are a micro or a nano influencer. So let's go ahead and give them invite into the influencer program.
Okay.
So it's a natural progression between referrals, ambassadors, and influencers. It's kind of the mountain effect where you start at the bottom and go to the top.
Do you see a lot of brands coming to Extole to ask how they can leverage some of these influencers? That's becoming more popular, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the reporting dashboards where you can see the virality of your offers and the programs that you're running. There's a little connection piece where you can see dots and visualizations of their social networks.
Sure.
It's really, really cool and effective in the platform.
No, I think that's really important to touch on because, a couple years ago when influencer marketing was sort of newer, a lot of people weren't sure how to report on it or how to see the effectiveness of it.
Yep.
So hearing that you guys have a solution for that is good news.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of granular data that you can see the lifetime value of these influencers. You can see how they're rewarding and how they're earning rewards. Is it ACH, PayPal? Is it direct deposit, which influencers normally like to get paid in cash or cash equivalents as opposed to a discount code.
Sure.
Like your typical referral would be.
Yeah.
So
kind of their new business model,
yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
And being able to use that UGC in different channels as well, putting that in MMS messages,
Yep.
Emails as well, on site even.
Absolutely.
Shopping cart abandonment. I think that's all really good use case for some of that influencer content.
It is. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all about engaging customers in ways that are right to them.
Yeah.
So.
Before we wrap up, anything that you can tell me that's not under wraps of what Extole is maybe working on or working towards, or what's new and exciting?
So one thing that comes to mind that I'm extremely excited about is the launch of a rewards program that we're doing for a company called The Knot.
Oh, yes.
The Knot,
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
Very familiar.
Yeah, so The Knot came to us with a problem of most likely what, The Knot's business model is one and done.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? You
Hopefully.
plan for your wedding and then
And that's it.
They wanted to engage customers after they got married, obviously before they got married.
Right.
But after that event happens, you still want to engage these customers in hopes that they'll refer or hopes that they'll share pictures from their wedding.
Yep.
So they've identified all these high value actions and are using the Extole platform as a method to engage these consumers. So in a sense, it's a loyalty program, going back to the points thing. There are no points associated with it.
Right.
It's just the actions that we're identifying and then rewarding. They happen to use a CDP that houses this information. So they're passing it through to us, and then we're displaying the front end of that information to the end user, to the consumer. So I'm particularly excited about that. That one just came to mind. And then we've got some fantastic omni-channel retail programs with your GNCs and Athletas of the world that I'm really excited to see how they can continue their effectiveness. They've been customers for handfuls of years, and we don't want the programs to ever get stagnant. So we're optimizing them and fine-tuning them. So I'm excited about those things.
Oh, that's great. So excited for you guys. And like you said, you've had some longevity with quite a bit of your brands and being able to evolve their programs just as loyalty is evolving. I think, day to day really is exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's ever changing. So I'm excited to see what's new and different in the industry in a couple years, especially with all the talks around AI and whatnot.
I didn't bring up AI today. I wanted to give everybody a break from it. But we'll bring you back in a couple of months, and let's see how AI is kind of playing into
That sounds
loyalty.
fantastic.
Well, Vince, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
really
for having
appreciate
me.
your
It
time.
was a pleasure chatting with you.
Hopefully you get home and can maybe sleep for a week.
Yes, that's on the top of my to-do list.
Okay. Please do that. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Innovation Unleashed, and we will see you next time.